what is working currently with governance, what is not, and how do you think or how do you envision governance evolving from its current state?
One of the biggest changes I think we made since I've been here, I mean, I would really say it's one of the top things we've done is take the grants program, which, as you know from the transparency report, was not particularly well thought through and strategic. We also have a lot of incoming from the community, and we have a lot of opportunity for engagement with the community. And so we took the grants program and we are giving the grants program to the community. That's the idea, right? Now, Algorand Ventures got $4 million out the door this year and has funded, 18, I think, 18 companies, right? So it's not that we are not also investing in the ecosystem, but the grants program is going to be decided by the community. Okay, so we roll this thing out, and then we're not going to set the rules either. The rules is going to be community led through the ARC process, led by the community. We'll participate, of course, but we're trying to lead from behind, maybe is a way that you can put it, like, kind of a little bit, but not being too directive, right? One thing that I think was very good about it is that the voting tool for MakerX, and a shout out to MakerX for sure, worked really well. Like, it was flawless. And that was, could have been, it was a little bit of a risk. And so we're very glad that went flawlessly operationally. But of course, we got 60,000 algo out the door for a 2 million allocated algo. So that is not a success. That is not a success, right? For the first round. It's a first round, and so we've done, a Twitter space on this with you guys. So I think this is again where I feel like sometimes I'm saying things that you already know them, but it's worth it to say it for your audience. Your audience probably also already knows, but we had a couple of problems. One is that, only about a third or half of the algos kind of showed up, right? And so in the ARC rule making, you had to have, if you wanted 10% of the money, you had to have 10% of the vote. If you wanted 30% of the money, you had to have 30% of the vote. But that is not how voting works. In the United States presidential election, you don't have to win the majority of US citizens. You have to win the majority of the people that actually vote. So if you only have sort of 30% of the total voting algo, you can't, and you want a project that needs 10% of the voting algo, but only 30% of the total show up, you can never make that. You can never make that threshold. So what I think, these are all kind of in discussion stage, but I'm pretty confident that this is going to be observed, is that it will now be that you have to find the percentage of the stake that actually shows up. And a couple of big investors weren't able to participate at the end, and it was kind of a shame, but they custodied their assets with Copper, and Copper didn't allow wallets to participate in smart contracts out of their wallet. So it was really a custodial problem, it was not a lack of interest. So I think that's important for people to understand. So that, I think, is going to be a very big fix. And then a shout out to Ludo, who came up with the second big fix idea that, again, I don't know if it's completely been implemented yet, but I'm pretty confident that it will be, is that if you've got money left over after all of those projects meet the requirement of the percentage of the votes that show up, then the rest should be force ranked by how close did they get. And you can spend money down to, until you've spent the money, down to those. Maybe there'll be a lower bound threshold. I'm not in the details of this, but I thought that was not only a good idea, but a good example of community engagement on that. And then the third thing, I think, is a little bit like, it's a benefit to us that we're named Algorand. It's AL. It's always at the top of the list when you're alphabetizing things. And I think we did that a bit. So now we're going to randomly show the project so that they're not a little bit. So I think those are the three fixes that I expect to happen anyway. For the next one, I think that will be a good, will make it much more vibrant, and we'll get a lot bit more protocols through for sure. While I'm giving shout outs, so I also want to give a shout out to Silent Rhetoric, who has put together like just the most amazing XGovs tool and display and metrics functionality. So I love these examples of just like community entrepreneurship that put these things together. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that answer, honestly. And to your point, I think a great journalist once said, "You never ask a question you don't know the answer to." I'll definitely appreciate that point. But
We're more
does
nerve
Algorand?
wracking though than like the BBC. Like if I got on the BBC, they don't know anything. I could say anything, but like you guys, you already know so much, right? So you gotta bring your A game to the next
I,
block. That's for
I
sure.
do want to. I do want to add to it. Some people said in the comments, but I think y'all should definitely check out Cardano's Project Catalyst. They have some great ideas. We interviewed them a few months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
think
have some good.
John has talked about that a couple times too, and we did. That is a little bit where we got some of the inspiration for it. But you're right. There's probably some details in that are worth emulating.
Yeah, I think so.
And to stay on the governance topic, just real quick, I'm curious. Algorand has a couple good DeFi options for governance. I mean, we did, of course, just lose one with AlgoFi, but we gained another with Messina One's liquid staking mAlgo. Does Algorand still have any plans to support the DeFi parts of governance? Are there going to be extra incentives to use these DeFi platforms for governance, or is it going to be, all of the same sort of basket, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, we have. I think for XGov's 9, there is going to be. I think it's 32. Let's call it passive governance awards. Another 7.5, which we give directly to DeFi protocols to encourage usage, and another zero point 0.5 to NFT protocols, NFT platforms. So DeFi platforms and NFT platforms. And the stipulation for those, for that 7.5 that will go to the DeFi platforms, is that they can take the money, they can use it however they want. They can set up any kind of incentive structure they want, but it has to go to their users. They can't, take a trip to Mexico with it or whatever. They have to use it to incentivize users on a platform. They have the freedom to do that however they like, and same thing with the DeFi platforms. But that's the point of that. So again, the idea of this, I think more broadly in terms of its evolution, is that participating in these votes is important, but that is not the only thing that makes you a quote unquote governor. If you think of a governor as somebody that works for the betterment of this ecosystem,
Yep.
Participating in DeFi is a very important activity for you to be taking part in. Same thing with the minting and the trading and the displaying of NFTs and the collecting of NFTs. It's a very important part of what a leg to the stool of what holds up this ecosystem, right? So that's the kind of thing that we should be putting governance of rewards to, encouraging those activities, as well as the more passive governance. And of course, the whole thing will shift and evolve to paying for a consensus as well. I don't know, and don't hold me to this, but I kind of think that the DeFi incentive structures will remain even after we move to incentivizing consensus. That's my guess. And the other thing about XGovs, I will say, is that we want the XGovs then, as a next step for XGov's responsibilities and rights, I guess you could call it, is for them to be able to propose voting measures as well, and for them to be able to put things forward. So we think of that as a role that the XGovs will also lead.
You just watched a clip from episode 75 of The Next Block. If you enjoyed this clip, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. We have a bunch of great guests coming on, including Mark Yusko, the founder of Morgan Creek Capital, Anthony Scaramucci, the founder of Skybridge Capital, and so many other great names in the coming weeks, so be sure to subscribe. It definitely helps us get more great names in the future, and ping that notification bell so you never miss a thing. Check out the video description for ways to support the podcast, including checking out our sponsors, and hopefully we will catch you in the next video. Thank you.